FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Look, longer-term gold is going up. All pretty much tangible type assets rise, because what we're looking at is when it dawns on them that government is a problem. And we're talking about the average person on the street, all right, not just people listening to the show. They've already kind of figured out something's wrong, all right? Yeah, sure. But then you have another whole group that has not reached that level yet. So when they start reaching that level, all right, that's when the panic and financial crisis begin, all right? And at that stage, that's when all the tangible stuff starts to rise, gold, silver, platinum, whatever, stock markets. I mean, just look at the markets and how they've all interacted from 1975 into 1980, when gold first hit 875. They all went up. The stock market, too. So that is what we're looking at, the collapse in confidence in government, where you want anything other than what they produce, which is currency and bonds. So short term, we're still in this position where we have, the general public has to figure this out. I think you're probably looking at that starting to really turn after January of next year. And then we're going to have the presidential elections in 2020. And that, from what our computer is showing, you're looking at civil unrest going up quite dramatically. So that is probably going to shake the boots of a lot of people, and they're going to start moving much more aggressively, particularly from 2021 all the way out. So I would expect a reasonable, what you would typically call an inflationary cycle between 2021 and around 2024. So that's basically what we're looking at. We just still have this consolidation stuff, and it's mainly people just trying to figure out what side of the fence they're on yet. The bulk of the stock market decline is pretty much all the way in. We'd have to break like 21,600 on a monthly closing basis in the Dow to see a further decline, like to the 19 level. But these are really just at this stage in the game, buying opportunities really when you get down to the lower threshold numbers. I mean, gold, the breakout number still is the same. It hasn't changed. It's that 1362 level we've been warning about. And right now, still, trading in the 1288 area. Can it still break 1,000? Yes, it can. Are we talking about a major, follow-through? No, absolutely not. I don't see it ever going really below the 1980 high of like 875. I mean, a lot of these times you're talking about what flips a market, and just cracking the 1,000 level by $5 even, doesn't matter. You'll get a lot of people then say, that's it, it's over with, it's never going to go up. That's when it flips. And it's the same thing as the stock market. All right, when the stock market came down into 2009, all right, I put out a forecast, look, this thing's going to make new highs. That's it. I mean, Barron's, basically came out, I think it was in 2020, I think it was 2010. They said, Armstrong is calling for new highs. And it was kind of like more of a joke. Ha, 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 look what he's calling now. And, of course, they never followed through to say, actually he was right. But you get everybody bearish, and then they keep fighting the rally. So that's why I say this stock market rally, even all the way into the high, was the most hated bull market I ever saw in my life.
Very true.
Every rally, it's going to crash. It's going to crash. That's what, but yet, look at where it went from. And gold will do the same thing. If you just crack 1,000 by $5, right, you're going to have that same attitude. For the next, 2 or 3 years, that's it, sell it, and it will keep dragging all the way up because these people will take short positions and they get stopped out. They'll try it again and they get stopped out. And that's how it goes up. When the market reaches its final peak, I was in Tokyo for the major high, at the 39,000 level. We had forecast that it would, our objective was basically 40,000. And I met with the head analyst at Nomura, and because they were like saying 50, I think it was. And so I met, okay, fine, hi, how you doing? And I thought, all right, 50, you're not so far off. In the private meeting, they go, oh, no, well, our real forecast is 100. I said, 100? Oh, yeah, we just can't say that publicly yet. I said, okay. I walked out of there. I said, this is definitely the high. But this is what you get. At the low, that's it. It's never going to go up again. It's over with. At the high, that's it. It's always going to go up. It's never going to stop.
Yeah.
You look for that euphoria.
Yeah, I got you.
Did not see that in 2018 with the high in the stock market.
No.
All right. They're all still calling for a 60% crash. Mm-hmm. And that's why it won't happen. But, we're not there. We're so far away. And retail participation is still at 50% levels of 2007.
Right.
So where is this a frothing bubble that's going to break and everybody's going to see blood in the streets? It's just not there. And the bulk of the decline we've seen so far is it. All right, you usually get the biggest crash right up front within the first 2 to 3 months. And we peaked in October and November, December. That's the bulk of it. Our target was 21.6. I think we stopped at 21.712 or something. Mm-hmm. So we got very close to our number. But there's still a little bit of change, underneath. It could go down and just still hold it on a closing basis, on a monthly basis. Get everybody like, oh, my God, that's it. It is going to go down or whatever. And that's kind of what you really look for. Okay. But I don't see this as a meltdown. If it's a meltdown in the classic sense, then you have to fight the quality. They're going to run to the bond market. And it's just not there.
Mm-hmm. Hey, so one other thing about cryptocurrencies. So I know all about the blockchain, that it's immutable. But Bitcoin, there's only 7,000 Bitcoin nodes in the world. Isn't it possible to shut down all these nodes if there was a desire to do so? Sure.
Look, they've already passed a law that technically, if you come back into the country, they can ask you, and you have to declare whatever you have in a cryptocurrency. Mm-hmm. As if it were cash in your pocket. And then you lie, they confiscate everything, and that's it. Look, cryptocurrency is basically an anti-government position. They're not going to allow that. You have the IMF already saying that, for everybody to create their own. And that is to control society and eliminate paper money. They've allowed this cryptocurrency to go, and they've been studying it. Largely, do you think we can get away with it? Yeah, okay, fine. Look at these people. They're chaining it, and it's great. But, Bitcoin is not really, you can't really spend it. There's not enough places to take it. And this idea that, it's limited, so it's not going to, you can't expand it. Well, that's not a medium of exchange. That's one of the reasons that they were creating the euro. Mm-hmm. Their currency went up 20%, and the other one went down 40%. Trade basically changes dramatically. And you have people running around that were buying Ferraris as investment. It was currency. They didn't understand it. I bought a Ferrari in London in 1985, and it cost me about $30,000. They could no longer afford to sell a Ferrari for 30,000 pounds because of the the pound fell to that par. So then they raised the price to about 50,000. All right, but then the pound went from par back to $2. So it then turned out to be a $100,000 car. All right. I drove it around London. This was fantastic. I sold it like double my money used. Yeah. And then all these people, oh, wow, look at how much a Ferrari went up. They're a good investment. And no, it was currency. That was all it was. Mm-hmm. So you have these people who ran around. I mean, I met one person up in Toronto, a client, and he says, oh, you like cars? Let me show you what I have. Took me down to a garage that he rents, and he had like 30 or 40 Ferraris. I said, what are you doing? Oh, they're a great investment. I said, okay, it was just currency, I'm telling you. Yeah. But, that's the problem. You distort everything with currency. And that's why FDR, listened to George Warren and devalued the dollar. And that finally made things go up. As long as the dollar kept being strong and strong and strong, and deflation, as Germany's been doing with this austerity, yeah, fine, the currency goes up. You can't sell anything overseas because your currency's too big. And economic decline, the economy just declines. So that's what, FDR did reverse the low. He devalued the dollar and basically went back up. So, I mean, people have to think that I better spend today because it's going to cost me more tomorrow. Mm-hmm. If they think it's going to be less tomorrow, then they don't spend.
Right.
People are not that stupid.
Mm-hmm. Hey, one other thing. You had an article that you were approached to be an economic babysitter for George W. Bush.
Oh, yeah. No.
So what was he like?
That was it. That was.
You talked to him. Was he as dumb as he looked?
I didn't meet him. Mm-hmm. Okay. I would go around and I would meet these people who wanted to run for president, like governor of Oklahoma, etc. And I was asked, what do you think? Do you think they can handle it? There used to be a real vetting process.
Right.
And up to 99, then I was asked, would you go, we want you to go down and meet George Bush Jr. in Texas. Mm-hmm. I said, yeah, okay, fine. And they said, no, but this one's different. I said, what are you talking about? No, he's really stupid. And they never, ever would have said something so derogatory ever that I had ever heard of before. And I was completely surprised. I said, stupid? Why would you make somebody stupid president? And they said, well, he's got the name. And they did the same thing with Obama.
Yeah.
Look, Obama basically never even attended 65% of the morning briefings.
Right.
It was a joke. I was over in Palm Springs at the airport. Obama lands, parked in Trump's private spot. Okay, this is when he was still president. And Trump had his own little area that he built. Mm-hmm. He parks in Trump's spot. Trump then lands, sees Obama's in his private airport, starts pulling up. Secret Service comes out and say, you move 1 inch more, we're going to open fire. I mean, this was a complete joke. Why was Obama there? Basically, it probably cost us $15 million so he could go play golf with Tiger Woods.
Right. Oh, that's a word.
I mean, this is, from all my sources, he was basically the same. And not as stupid, but basically absentee management. So why did they do this? The problem that I saw, once they did this with, and they put people around, and Cheney, in, et cetera, then the bureaucracy got the power. Before then, the bureaucracy was in second place. Once the bureaucracy took control, and that's part of this deep state that's fighting Trump, they got control. And with Bush Jr., they held it through Obama, and this is what you got. And they have the power, and they don't want to give it up. Mm-hmm. And why is Trump such a threat to them? Besides saying that he wanted to to drain the swamp, which it's more than a swamp. I think it's an ocean. But in doing so, he's basically undermining them and threatening them. Mm-hmm. And they don't want somebody from the outside in. And that's why, I mean, even McCain was, supporting Hillary. Why? Because she's not going to do anything. She's going to keep everything in place. And it's one giant, party down there.
Sure.
I mean, it's absurd. When the Clintons left the White House, you had to have Senate hearings because they stole furniture. I mean, do you go to a hotel and take the bed?
It's usually bolted down.
But I mean, it's just absurd, all these things. But this is what's going on, and the bureaucracy has the power, and they don't want to share it again. And I'm more concerned about what comes after Trump, and because what comes after him is definitely going to be some sort of career politician stuffed in place.
Yeah.
You had the governor of Massachusetts basically say, no, he's no longer interested in running. Why? Because they've all seen what's happened to Trump and Kavanaugh. I mean, look, you can just get somebody to stand up and say, "Oh, he raped me." Did I? Oh no, I was too upset to ever say anything. And that's it. I mean, there's no civility left. Everybody knew, that JFK had girlfriends, etc. I mean, all right, fine. We didn't talk about it. And that was basically it. I mean, Clinton paid, Paula Jones $350,000 to shut up. Here you have Trump paying this guy through his attorney $130,000. Oh, that violates campaign laws. Well, Clinton actually took the money from campaigns.
Correct.
I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, we've lost all civility. This is the part where the government is just incapable of managing the economy anymore.
Yep.
It's over with. We're not putting it back. It's Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall, and that's it. Mm. So where does this end? Probably in revolution or something, as it usually does. When? Probably not until after 2032. But that's the bottom line.
Mm-hmm. So revolution.
Nobody's willing to look at this. Gee, if I just keep raising taxes every day, are we going to end up like France? Oh, no, look, I won't be here then. I don't care.
Yeah.
That's really the problem.
That's really it. So anyways, so we see these private cryptos are going to fall by the wayside, gold at some point. Obviously, the market, because people just don't know what else to do, that's their default choice effectively. And more people are going to keep piling in there. And basically, so what about China? Are they doing things any better here?
Yes. No. China still has its problems short term from a debt crisis. You have an awful lot of the provinces and private, which also made the same mistake. They borrowed money in dollars. Mm-hmm. And that's the same problem with emerging markets. That's the real crisis. And this is why you have all these people lobbying against the Fed raising rates, because the Fed raises rates and the discussions that I've been in Washington, they realize they have a huge problem now. The Federal Reserve can no longer manage the domestic economy. It's really what Janet Yellen kept saying, we have to normalize interest rates. What she was saying is we have to get interest rates back to 8% to prevent a pension crisis. All right. The pensions, what would they do? They couldn't survive at this kind of level. They ran in buying emerging market debt in dollars. Others were buying farmland, and then they just rented out for 5%. They went into income-producing real estate. So, I mean, this is what they sought alternatives. Spanish banks, ran in and were buying Turkish bonds. And the view is, well, the IMF has never allowed anybody to default, so we'll be okay. Yeah, I mean, this is the level of decision making. It's quite serious. But The pensions are just collapsing everywhere. The governments will not address it. All they do is they keep trying to raise taxes to cover this year's budget, and there's no solution. There's nobody with any guts to stand up and say, hey, this system doesn't work and we're going to have to stop it. So all they are doing, like the post office, they're hiring people part-time so they don't have to give them pensions. So you're seeing a lot of that. Corporations are letting people off. Maybe they got 5 years to go before they qualify for their pension. Get rid of them now. This is what's going on. It's a pension crisis. It's changing things. People over 50 are getting laid off dramatically. It's all because of the pension things. I mean, I have a friend whose mother retired from the school system in New Jersey, and believe it or not, she gets health care for life for her and her husband.
Sure, of course.
For life.
Free health care.
Plus the pension.
Free health care.
All right? I mean, that's got to be worth $30,000 a year. I mean, and you're wondering why these states are going bust.
Yeah.
Government employees have gotten deals that all of us in the private sector can't get.
I know, and it's taxpayer for life, and there's no way to roll them back. Look at Illinois. The court ruled that you can't modify the pension plan in any way, that it's unconstitutional, and thereby prohibiting literally any solution to the problem. You would have thought that Trump would come in and have a plan for this, but evidently not. One thing, supposedly with the government shutdown, is he's planning to furlough. He's furloughed these people. Once they've been furloughed for 30 days, they can all be fired, going through a certain process that's relatively streamlined. And maybe that's been his game plan the whole time with shutting down the government. I don't know if I believe it or not, but it would be very Trumpian, wouldn't it?
Well, he definitely understands debt. And, my concern is that he does. I think he does know a lot more than people realize. Mm-hmm. And how do you renegotiate? Because he has made some statements, well, we'll just have to renegotiate our debt. And so he is aware of it. What alternatives he would come up with yet, I don't think are sufficient. What I've been proposing, but things of this nature, reducing pensions, reducing workforces, things of this nature, are usually in his bag of tricks.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we come about to the end. Really appreciate you coming on again, Martin. We'll talk to you again real soon. We're going to be watching the market very closely to see if it comports with your view of things, which it has since the past 6 years that I've been interviewing you. You've been an unabashed, I don't want to say bull because it's not that you're bullish for the sake of being bullish. You have a definite methodology as to why the stock market would keep going higher. And it hasn't disappointed us in 6 years, which made me really want to connect with you and get your thoughts on it, because of all the people out there, you were really the only person who was making these statements. So anyway, Martin, hey, we find you over at ArmstrongEconomics.com. You're now a proud resident of Southwest Florida, and hey, welcome to the show. We'll talk to you again real soon. Any questions or comments for myself or Martin, KL@KerryLutz.com. Thanks so much, Martin.
Well, thank you for inviting me. Take care.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to FinancialSurvivalNetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.